Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel. And it's the sexy coffee stream today because it's coffee stream number 69. Ha ha ha. And welcome back here. It's Skep Talk and I hope everyone's having a good day. How are you doing, Skep?
Well, I'm doing fine. I got up this morning and after 2 hours of sleep with the new puppy, up and down, up and down, up and down, and blurry eyed trudge into the kitchen, start the coffee, sitting there having a cup of coffee, and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna I don't usually do this because CNN is just so bad, but I'm going to traipse over to their main page and check out their headlines. So I go over and I think maybe they'll have some well-read stuff. Maybe I can pick up some interesting news items for the show. Maybe they'll have some features that'll be good. And I come over, and these are the headlines. I'm just going to read the one line blurb of all the headlines in the first two columns. It won't take long, but you'll notice a pattern. The first thing there is Trump wants the U.S. out of Syria, but why? The president's move to leave Syria fulfills one of Vladimir Putin's goals and will spark fresh speculation about Trump's motives and relationship with Russia. This is the straight news. Okay, it's not well, I guess that last part's analysis, but the first part is straight news. Senior admin official, a mistake of colossal proportions. Okay, straight news. It's advertised as straight news. Senator Graham, Trump's Syria withdrawal, a stain on the honor of the United States.
Oh, notice he's Senator Graham now.
Yeah, he's Senator Graham now. So Lindsey Graham has been fully rehabilitated for the Democrats, at least for their purposes today. He'll be Lindsey Graham again, soon, because Lindsey sounds weak, and they usually do that to him. Decision blasted. It's fake news to say ISIS defeated, Graham said. Analysis. Trump is leaving the fight against ISIS and influence in the Middle East to Russia and Iran. Fareed Zakaria, a breakdown of Trump's announcement. Does anybody think Fareed Zakaria has anything positive to say about Trump?
Hell no.
Opinion. Trump's bizarre decision on Syria. This is not just political news. This isn't U.S. news. This is all their news. This is their main page that has everything, all the news that's fit to print, everything that they feel is important in the world is this. Okay, so there's nothing happening with Brexit. There's nothing happening in Europe or anywhere. There's just Trump's decision to pull out of Syria, and Trump is bad.
And didn't Obama not want to go into Syria?
Oh yes.
And wasn't he applauded for not wanting to go into Syria? And when he did go into Syria, everyone was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Why did you do that?" And now Trump's like, "We got to get out of Syria," and everyone's like, "No, yeah. Why?"
But Obama was given a pass, no matter what he did. He could go into Syria and say, the subtleties of President Obama's understanding of foreign policy may have misled him into this. They're looking for a way out for him.
And he can drone strike a wedding, and everything's fine.
Yeah, right, exactly. And that was don't get me started with the Bill Clinton. I'll hit him with a drone and get the news off my back for a week.
Yeah.
Anyway, it goes on. I don't want to bore everybody, but it just goes. Trump's AG pick told Justice Department in memo that firing Comey isn't obstruction. Or analysis, the 41 most unreal Trump quotes of 2018. Thought you'd like that.
Who the fuck has time to just sit there and list off 41 things that he has said?
Well, that's what CNN does.
That's news.
Finds that stuff. Yeah. North Korea says it will not denuclearize until the U.S. eliminates nuclear threat. Panelists: Democrats just broke Trump. They broke him. He just is broken. The Democrats broke him. Ocasio-Cortez broke Trump. Trump plans to make more people work for food stamps, the evil slave master.
As he should. You shouldn't get fucking if you're on Ontario Works, which is different from Ontario Disability.
Yeah.
That's what welfare is called here. It's called Ontario Works.
Right, because Newspeak.
You are required to at least be looking for a job.
Right.
When you are on Ontario Works.
Right.
That is not free money.
Right.
You are required to at least be looking for a job and to actively be trying to get off of Ontario Works.
Well, and that's the way it should be, ideally, is that, you don't want people on the dole forever. I have some, it's the one area where I've just got a soft spot in my heart for people, for families, things like that. I think not just people with women and children, but I mean any man, woman, and child should have shelter and food and at least access to emergency health care.
Agreed.
I can't go full on libertarian and laugh at the dying children by the side of the road.
No.
And I can't go full Ayn Rand and just do that. And the other thing is that given the crap that we waste money on, given the junk, the sheer junk that's in the U.S. budget, what you find is that providing that minimal level, and I'm talking about shelter level, care, a place where, if a woman has kids and, she needs a place to stay warm and dry, we can provide that. You can do that economically. You can provide, 3 hots and a cot, for mom and the kids, or for guys who are, out of work or just, chronically that way. And I have no problem, honestly, if they just want to, continue to exist that way. That's not actually that much of a drain on society. You know what the biggest line item in the in the U.S. budget is?
What's that?
It is retirement pay, government retirement pay, and Social Security retirement. Health and Human Services, which administers those things, spends the Department of Defense annual budget every 45 days.
Good
I want
Lord.
you to think about that for a minute. Yeah. With the U.S. is by far its biggest expenditures are the handing out of money to its citizens.
And the MSM would love for you to believe that the biggest expenditure is the military.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's not 9% of the budget. No, the huge part is the handing out of money. I don't know what's got me on this. I made a second pot of coffee this morning, so you're dealing with maniac skep without sleep. So this is term paper skep. This is how
I've been there. It's all good.
I used to write my term papers this way at Northwestern. This is a true story. Tell a little story about myself. I can remember I'm really good at taking college courses. I know how to do it. I do it so well, I frequently don't need a professor. If I just have the reading list, I'm good to go. And I remember I had to write a 40-page term paper. It's the only grade for the course was a 40-page paper about something. Mine was entitled Jugaruru and the Concept of Law, and it was the study of proto-law development in cultures in New Guinea, Papua New Guinea. And I had read a couple of books about the New Guineans. I was an anthropology major. That's why I was taking this course. And this was a graduate school level course, and they expected pretty high level of work.
Right.
I went to 2 lectures the entire term. and I decided the lectures were worthless. So I early in the term I had read one of the books, and then 4 days before the 40-page paper was due, I decided to read the other book and write the paper, and I got it done with like 15 minutes to spare. I got it handed in with 15 minutes to spare and got an A in the course.
Wow.
And and I stayed up like 3 nights in a row. I mean, it was intense. I really put together a great, I did a term worth of work in 3 days.
Right.
And of good work, of hard work. I still have that paper. I'm still very proud of it. It still reads well. It still is a very nice summary of how those people solve their problems, how they lived together, and how they adjudicated and mediated problems in their tribes. And anyway, make a long story short, it sends my OCD into overdrive, and it's like I've taken speed.
I wish I still had the book review that would have given me an A in world religions class, but I was a dumbass in high school and barely did my work and barely handed it in. My teachers, I was bored. My teachers were so frustrated with me because I was like,
this does not surprise me. I'm not surprised at all.
Always on point in class, participating, debating, asking questions, and then the assignments were like either never done or like they're like, this is just not the same level of work that you do in class. But the one thing that I wrote a book review on, because we were supposed to pick a fictional religious book and do a review on it and see how accurate it depicted like the religion that it was talking about.
A fictional religious book?
Like a book about a fictional book that had something to do with one of the 5 Abrahamic religions.
Oh, okay. I'm with you now. Okay.
So I chose The Exorcist.
What's wrong with that?
And I wrote a really good review on it, and for some reason didn't hand it in until like the end of the year. And my teacher was so mad at me because he's like, it's late. Like, it's too late.
Yeah.
I can't give you a grade on this. And it's good. Like, it's good. Like, why didn't you hand this in? It's really good. What the
wow.
Like, he was trying not to swear at me. He was so mad.
Yeah. Well,
because it was because I was writing about the depictions of the because they actually go into prayer and the rituals of being a Catholic priest. Like, they
and the exorcism ritual itself, which still exists and still is performed. Is performed. It's performed all the time, mostly in Europe.
Really?
Absolutely. Yes, you can check this out. Exorcisms are still being done today. There's YouTube tape of it being done. I'll scope it out and shoot you a link if you're interested. Yeah, you can actually. I don't know if it's actually the guy doing the exorcism or a reenactment, but it's a real thing. And the thing is, you have to pay for it. It's a service that the Catholic Church offers for money. So, those days when you're possessed by a demon, and we all have them, right? Because we have those, right? I mean, you've been possessed by demons before. Am I right?
Oh, sure. Once a month, I get possessed by demons.
By demons. She'll be here all week, folks. Sorry, I just have to.
It happens every month. It's really fucking annoying.
Yeah, really.
I have to pay for the exorcism every month. It's quite expensive.
Yeah, I hear you. It's I'm not going to tell that story. Oh, me. Humans biology is so entertaining at times. I often think that God was at a party and probably was a little drunk. Maybe had some weed, and he designed how humans were going to reproduce.
Oh, for sure.
You know, because you got to think, you know, hey, wait a minute. What's the part where they go to the bathroom? Yeah, we'll use that. Put it there.
Put it right next to the birth hole.
Right next to the birth hole.
And that actually segues into a story that one of our viewers tagged us both in yesterday. Miko tagged us in a story from the British LGBTQ Awards.
Yes, I did see that.
Where they think that we're in a victory, apparently, for LGBTQ rights. Children in Britain are going to be taught that boys can have periods too.
Thank God this gigantic, important injustice is about to be rectified. These are really great times we live in, you know, where this kind of a hideous, horrifying injustice depriving men of menstrual periods.
Oh, I know. It's just it's so joyful. You guys you don't know what you're missing.
You are gonna love it.
You have no idea. It's so much fun.
Yeah, you're going along, everything's fine. All of a sudden you kind of feel crummy, and you know you're all emotional and start yelling at people and don't know why, and you have to search for a calendar that you keep all the time just for the purposes of oh my God. Yeah, this is
the indoctrination of kids into this is terrifying.
It actually is. All kidding aside, it's absolutely Orwellian to me. What's going on right now?
And the fact that you see parents and doctors pushing children before puberty for gender reassignment, and
to push little boys to take hormones that will effectively sterilize them.
Yeah.
And may have God knows what effect down the road. It makes, you know, I've had a long running theory that at their core, most doctors have kind of a ghoulish streak, you know, that enjoys just some weird stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't have a lot of, you know, necessarily evidentiary, you know, backup for that, other than just some of the strange stuff that they seem to think is necessary for society to have. I don't know. I wonder who thought it was responsible to advocate for the idea of, first of all, foisting a choice that doesn't need to be made on children who are at an age where they can't make it.
Yeah.
That's ghoulish to me. That's hateful.
It's very ghoulish. I don't want to make the comparison lightly, but kind of reminds me of Mengele.
Yeah. What experiments with kids, sure.
Yeah, what happens when you do this to a kid?
Right. Let's see at what temperature do the children freeze to death?
Yeah. It's a little bit more insidious because he was, as horrible of a man as he was very overt about what he was doing.
Hide what he was doing. He was openly contemptuous.
This is passive. This is passive, subtle indoctrination.
Yes, it's under the radar, and it's it's insipid.
Yeah.
You know, it's slimy, it's underhanded, and they're kind of slipping it in there, so that and the upshot of this is that you will end up with more children who say that they are transgender. That's really what I believe this is all about.
Mm-hmm.
Because
then you can't be against the children, because then you're a horrible person.
We're really monkeying with the things that keep human beings going. That's not something you should monkey with lightly.
No.
That's not something you should, hey, let's see what happens if we do this. No, that's not a good idea. That's not good at all. Because if you get the wrong proportion of people reproducing, if you depress human reproduction enough, you will really change not just the quality of life, but the style of life. And we can. A friend of mine says, we can do it to ourselves. We can make it look. We can break society and make it so that 1930s level of living is something we hope to work for in our children's lifetime.
Yeah.
We can go back there. We can go back there in a hurry. He was talking in terms of the idea of, the electromagnetic pulse type of problem,
right,
where all the computer stuff stops working. Now, in point of fact, since that stuff has come out, there's been a lot of research and there's a lot of stuff that is hardened against that. So, these apocalyptic books, where basically you're back to, 1870s, hoping to get to 1930s someday. That's not going to happen like that. What you will have is far less, computers and things like that will become luxury items, and you'll have armed, active, warlike competition for resources like that.
Yeah,
and it's nobody should want that, and anybody who wants that needs to be ignored. And that's the thing. When does speech become yelling fire in a crowded auditorium? That's
a hard line to figure out.
It is. I mean, when does somebody advocating for let's break all the computers, let's have an electromagnetic pulse, let's nuke Iran, let's start a nuclear war with Russia, what kind of speech really should be, or is there speech ever that should be quashed or suppressed? And I still go back to being kind of a fundy on that, that it's everything should be exposed to the marketplace of ideas, because sunlight disinfects. Sunlight exposes the bullshit for what it is.
Yeah.
But it and it's tempting. It's the siren song of the easy solution to repress speech is out there. It says, come hither. I'm a solution. I can make everything better. You don't have to worry about any of this stuff anymore. No one will say these things. And you have to realize that's a terrible non-solution. That it's best to let that idea come out, let it get exposed to the light, wither and die, because it's a bad idea. Because if you don't, you begin to lose the capacity to evaluate and ideas, dangerous ideas, and you pass that to people who are curating speech, basically.
Yeah.
You don't want a class of speech curators in your society. That's called the Communist Party, basically. Anyway, that's my free
communism
speech.
is bad.
Communism bad, okay? So, now that said, the analysis from CNN. Can we go back to
Sure.
Syria and stuff? Because I actually think this is interesting. They point out shocking Syria withdrawal plan is pure Trump.
Pure Trump, huh?
But oh god,
you have been bombarded with advertisements.
Yeah, did that come over?
Only it's not coming on the watch page really very loudly, but I heard like
you heard the commercial come on.
It wasn't too loud, but
I didn't get the pause on inside. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Anyway, CNN. President Donald Trump once famously said he knew more about ISIS than U.S. generals do. Now he wants to prove it. What kind of a lead is that? I just want to walk up to that reporter with a baseball bat and start whacking them. What an idiot. His big gamble on a sudden and rapid Syria pullout, which is which broke on Wednesday, is classic Trump in execution and content after he effectively declared mission accomplished and the defeat of ISIS.
I didn't hear him declaring the defeat of ISIS.
No, yeah, exactly. And he never said mission accomplished, but they're trying to harken back to the misinterpreted banner on the aircraft carrier from George W. Bush's, where they said, stupid little Bush, it says mission accomplished. That was that, what they were saying was there, and it's so interesting. I'm gonna digress for just a minute. Do you know about the mission accomplished banner?
Not the banner, no.
Okay. During George W. Bush's time, an aircraft carrier was coming back from the war zone in Iraq. You rotate carriers in and out because people can't be, at war 365 days a year, 7 days a week. I mean, unless it's required. But in a war like that, you're shuttling aircraft carriers in. Aircraft carrier comes in to relieve the guys who've been doing the work, and the other aircraft carrier comes home.
Yeah.
When you end up deployment like that, that's the end of a mission. It's actually an operational mission, is your deployment overseas. And so when you come home, you say mission accomplished. It's very common in the Navy to say that. They had a big banner on the aircraft carrier saying mission accomplished, meaning their deployment was accomplished. The press, fools that they are, imbeciles that they are, ignorant of anything in the military because not one of them ever served, right?
Or could bother to do 5 minutes of research.
Yeah, thank you. And so they look at that and say, George W. Bush thinks he won the war. He saved the world, and then they ridiculed for that. So that became a hallmark in the pantheon of Republicans are bad, stuff for the media. And so any allusion to that and anybody alluding to that is basically trying to tar whoever, like Donald Trump in this case, with George W. Bush's stupidity. Trump is doing what George W. Bush is, mission accomplished. Well, first of all, Bush never did that. Okay. And secondly, no, he's not. So anyway, the president announced the apparently impulsive decision that shook the world. Apparently impulsive.
He's always said he wanted to go out of Syria.
He's been stating it since he started his campaign. Right, exactly.
One of his campaign promises was, we're going to pull out of Syria.
Right. We're going to get out of Syria. We're going to get out of things that don't concern us. We're not going to do regime change. We're not going to do nation building. It's too expensive, and we're not going to spend our blood and treasure, on something that isn't useful that way. It was a really smart, it just irritates me.
Like, where the fuck were they
guzzling more coffee
when they weren't listening? Like, did they not listen to his campaign? Oh no, wait, they were too busy saying, "Why is he campaigning?" Read.
Right, exactly. And they were writing down the things that he never said anyway. I mean, this really is fake news. It was a move that appeared to clash with the central goal of his Middle East policy, containing Iran's regional influence. What? That went by a little bit fast. Since it could leave a vacuum for Tehran and other outside nations to fill. Yes, or Armenia, or China, or Mali, or Somalia, or Eritrea, or Congo, or what?
Or.
Syria is suddenly a vacuum where Tehran is going to go rushing in. You want to walk up to these assholes at CNN and say, guys, fellas, did you know how many hundreds of millions of dollars Tehran has spent in Lebanon? That's the little nation to the south and kind of east of Syria, and in Lebanon, so that they can move against Israel. That's where Iran has spent lots and lots of money positioning Hezbollah. They've got arms, manpower, and they are ready to invade Israel from Lebanon. What makes you think they're going to suddenly divert all that manpower, dilute their effort by, probably a factor of 10, trying to move into a country like Syria, which is 4 times as large as Lebanon? Why would they do that? Why would they do that? They're already well positioned in Lebanon to do all the mischief in Israel that they're going to do. They're not going to move into Syria, idiots.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck about Syria.
They don't give a fuck about Syria.
Nobody's going to do anything with Assad there.
Well, nobody's going to do anything with Assad there, and nobody wants to fight the Russians. You think Iran wants to fight the Russians? Come on. So anyway, I'm sorry. I'm so just outraged and disappointed that there is not really a major news network that isn't prejudiced this way. In point of fact, Fox is just as bad.
Yeah, it's just as bad the other way.
It's just as bad the other way. And what I find interesting, and you and I are libertarian. You are a little bit more left wing than I am. Although the places where you're more left wing, I'm a little bit left for a libertarian. So you and I really tend to agree on a lot of our political positions. But doesn't the idea of bringing troops home from a foreign war where we really didn't have any business in the first place, doesn't that make you happy?
Oh, hell yeah. I wish Canada would get the fuck out of Syria.
Oh, word up. Yeah. What is Canada doing in Syria?
I don't fucking know, but we went there.
Yeah. We want to sell our toques here. We think there's a good market for toques.
Keep the desert sun off of your head.
That's right. Beauty. When you're out in the desert, enjoying a few of your favorites, maybe you'll have a nice Canadian toque, eh?
It might help you at night, but I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. My bad Bob and Doug imitation. But I just don't get what Canada's interest is in Syria. I guess nobody does. Syria's oil reserve. Oh, they don't have any. No, come on. Canada does not need more access to the world's oceans. Thanks.
They're handing out maple syrup, says Michelle Pro. Nice one.
Just love our chat.
I do. I really do.
Anyway, so blah, 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 blah. Last night we had fun on Minions. I'm going to digress away from this because
you had Piccolo on Minions because the baby wouldn't go to sleep again.
Yes. That was interesting. I didn't realize. I don't know why I didn't know that he had served in the Navy. Or did I know and had forgotten?
No, I don't think so. I try not to share too much because then that's his story, right?
Yeah.
So I don't really put his life out there unless he wants to. No,
it's certainly understandable. I'm the same way with Mrs. Talk. I respect that, and it was interesting to meet him, get to know him. He's an interesting guy. I'm just curious, is he a tall, kind of a big person?
He's a big person.
Well, I mean physically.
Yeah.
Because his voice sounds like it's coming from a big person.
He
has a big, powerful voice.
He does. He's got he's a big guy. But he's not like he's big muscle guy. Like
well, no, I didn't mean fat.
No, but he's like he's a big.
He's not a little 110 pounds.
Oh God, no.
Antifa neck.
No,
neck
he's no neckbeard. He's he's no incel. He's a big, nice. He's a big teddy bear. He's awesome.
He's had such a variety of experiences. It was really interesting after a while. And the other thing is he's not afraid of the microphone.
No, he's not. Well, see, the thing is, he needs someone to play off.
Yeah, he's a counterpuncher.
He's good. He's not good on his own.
Yeah.
But if you give him people to talk to, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's a conversationalist. Of epic proportion, but his knowledge of Canadian business issues, the economic issues, the political scene he provided really rich detail. And actually, I want to talk with you offline about his interest level in potentially, participating in more of what we do. And not necessarily here on the coffee stream, but more in the Minions kind of area. Anyway, that's a separate conversation for us to have. But it's just that he is so interesting and he has so much to offer. When I find somebody like that, I completely want to, integrate them into a position where they can meet and talk with the Minions and get more of that out there, because it just makes for more interesting content, and it makes for everybody having a better time. If his interests run that way, I think it's an interesting idea. So, but yeah, he had served in the United States Navy.
Yes, he did.
Had what sounds like a training nightmare base. Unfortunately, the Navy's not a perfect thing, and they screw stuff up. They just do. And he got played around by people who didn't have his best interest at heart, and in my opinion, did not have the Navy's best interest at heart. And that was a shame. He should have. He's a good guy. He's intelligent, has a lot on the ball, and he should have been given a better chance to show what he had.
He's incredibly intelligent.
Yeah, the Navy really missed out on a guy who could have had if he'd wanted to, a quality career with him.
And he's a hard worker too.
I'm not amazed at that.
Any job that he does, he freaking
goes after it. Yeah, I got that right away. So anyway, he was the kind of sailor I love to have those guys as my shipmates. They were a pleasure to serve with. You give them something to do, or you need something done. The guys you could depend on like that were few and far between. Unfortunately, just much more rare than people think. And I can't imagine him as a dental assistant. And that's what my daughter does for a living, by the way. She's a dental assistant. She's studying to be a hygienist. So it's right for some people. Andrea's really good. She has long, slender, strong fingers, and that's just perfect for a dentist. And she enjoys that kind of detailed work. She digs that and likes that. But I can't imagine Pink Owl as a dental assistant.
No, I can't either.
That's it. And I'll bet he gave it the college try too, and he just
Yeah.
couldn't get into it. And he was probably as frustrated as the Navy was.
Probably.
They don't like guys to bail out of A school because part of what the Navy fools itself into saying anybody who makes it through boot camp, will be able to get through any A school we send them to.
Well, that's not really.
That's absolutely nonsense. that's like, we're going to proceed under that assumption because reasons, not because it's true, not because it's ever been proved out. So, they tend to think there's never such thing as an inappropriate assignment to A school. That's very typical Navy thinking. It was true then, and evidently it's still true.
I just can't imagine Pincolo's hands in someone's mouth. He has ginormous fucking bear paw hands.
Yeah,
I don't know how the hell he would do, like.
Well, of course, the assistant's hands tend to not go in the mouth as much as the instruments they hold.
That's true.
But they still need to be out of the dentist's way. And if he had big, enormous, catcher mitt's hands, that's not gonna be a good thing. But anyway, it was fun having him on last night. Sorry that your kids aren't sick or anything, are they?
No, we think Logan is cutting his last set of molars.
Oh man, ow!
Because he had his hands in his mouth.
Yeah.
And he just didn't want to be away from me.
Did they give you any stuff that you can like rub on his gums or anything?
Well, the stupid thing is we used to have this thing called infant oral gel.
Yeah.
And it was the same brand as the adult oral gel, right? It just had a little bit less
oil,
whatever the hell. It's Lanacane, I think.
Well, yeah.
Not Lanacane.
They'll say they have
some sort of cane.
Yeah, it's a derivative of the procaine molecule from which Lanacane, lidocaine, novocaine, isocaine, procaine. I used to know the whole family. Yeah, all of those.
So I think it's lidocaine that's in the.
Very likely.
Yeah. So, but parents were putting way too much on their kids' gums.
Yeah.
And then they were swallowing it and they were getting sick.
And then they vomit, right?
So they recalled and stopped selling the Orajel brand Orajel. And now you just have to get this homeopathic crap.
Homeopathic means bullshit.
Yeah. So we have stopped giving him the rubbing, the stuff for the gums, and we just give him Motrin. Infant Motrin or infant Tylenol.
Yeah. It's pretty much what you're limited to at that point.
Yeah. It sucks. Like, and they're really, it's really hard for him because, like, Alex wasn't too bad with his teething.
Yeah.
But it really bothers Logan. Like,
poor little guy.
He grabs his ears, so he has the same issue that I do when my teeth bother me. It hurts. It affects my ears. Like when my wisdom teeth were impacted, I had basically 6 months of ear infections.
That's not atypical for wisdom teeth.
So yeah, Logan's kind of like me in that way. When he's teething his molars, especially, his ears get affected and he's miserable. But he woke up this morning in a good mood, so that's good.
Yeah.
He always tries to be happy.
That's good. Good guy.
Both of them do. They even when they get hurt, they cry for a couple of seconds and then they try and move on. Like they're happy kids. They're very happy kids.
That's a good thing. It's a good thing. Well, Gun Fox is here.
Yes, hello, Gun Fox.
And Will is there. Michelle and Brad. All our hardy perennials, our regulars, the regular folk who are here to support us and be here and tell us when we're wrong and look stuff up for us. And oh man, let's see. Chadwick Dupree says, "I would give my kids frozen fruit like grapes and strawberries." That's an interesting idea. Frozen grapes. Of course, you got to be careful with the choking hazard.
My freaking Logan is anti-fruit.
Really?
Unless it's yogurt.
Gunfox says, "Would you tell Blind Press to use whiskey on Logan's gums? Just dip her finger in the whiskey and rub it on his gum area." I'll tell her you said that. I'm not going to tell her it's a good idea.
We actually
I don't know about
caveat. We had no Orajel and we had no Tylenol and we had no anything. And we were at my grandma's house and I had to do that. But it was the tiniest little.
Yeah.
Tiniest, like my finger was just wet. Like there wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah. You just got to be really careful.
Yeah.
All to a kid. But you said a word a little while ago that makes my alarm bells go off. Homeopathic.
Yeah, I hate that stuff.
It's not anything. People say, what we do is we take 100 gallons of distilled water, boiled water. It's just pure water, nothing but water. And we have it in a stainless steel vat. And then we take 1 drop of honey and we add that to the 100 gallon tank of water. And then this is what we fill our vials with that we sell for $20, and it will cure your cancer.
Yep.
It will cure your cancer. When my daughter's husband, my son-in-law, and one of my best friends, my dear friends, I love this guy, was dying of colon cancer a couple of years ago, 2013. 2015. He was we were out of remedies.
Right.
we had and that's an interesting story. The way that oncologists tell you that you're going to die from the cancer that you have. We'd gone through all this chemo, and we got a blood test back that was very bad. Showed that the thing had returned with a vengeance. And I remember the oncologist who sat with us for months and months. He sat there and said, "Well, okay, that's the end of the standard therapy course." And he got up and he left the examining room, and the nurse came in, and we thought, well, she's going to take us out and we're going to make another appointment. No, there are no more appointments. You're done. And we never saw the oncologist again. He said, wow. That's the end of the standard treatment. Okay, no, you're going to die from this, no nothing. I said, well, is there a study we can get him into? Well, there's a couple of things, but they're in Europe and blah, blah, not really. Okay.
That seems rather callous.
I've got more things to do. So you guys run along, and you have a nice day, sir. And you over there, you have a nice death.
That's rather callous.
Yeah, it was. It was absolutely stone cold. And I understand kind of, they're in the business of doing that. They're in a tough business. So we went home, and there we are in Texas. And Julian was starting to really get miserable. He was in a lot of pain and he couldn't eat. He could not eat. And I said, let's buy him some marijuana.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got some dope, but he could not even take a toke off a joint. And I said, no problem. I'll make hash out of it. And so I made hash. I mean, it's not very hard to do. It takes a lot of marijuana, and we just bought a lot of marijuana illegally and made hashish out of it. And combination of that and hash oil is, of course, a byproduct of making hash.
Yeah.
And he was able to smoke the hash oil. And it made his last few months much more comfortable than what they would have. That's why one of the reasons why I'm such a militant about giving people pain meds and having access to cannabis is I saw this with my own eyes. I saw what a difference it made in the quality of his life.
Yeah.
And it was a difficult time for him, and obviously a difficult time for his kids, his wife, his two little children who didn't understand that they just knew that daddy was sick. They didn't know how bad it was.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. They were actually surprised when he died, and it took them like 15 minutes to start crying, and then they were inconsolable.
Yeah.
They're so shocked by it the night he died, and they just knew that mommy was sitting up with daddy, and we'd all been over at the house. It was like 12:30 in the morning. I mean, so it was like early in the morning, just past midnight.
Yeah.
And Brenda and I had said, "Oh, we're going to go home now, and we'll check back with you in the morning." She was holding Julian. Julian was in a coma, and the in-home hospice was there, and we went home. We'd almost made it home. We got the phone call that he had died. He died 10 minutes after we walked out of the house. We, of course, turned around and, did all that stuff. So my point in saying this is that several things. First of all, I don't think you have to be that callous when you're going to tell somebody that there isn't any more treatment for them. The second thing is somehow, some way, it became known that we had a cancer patient in the family, and Julian and I both started getting emails about homeopathic remedies for cancer.
Fuck off.
And these guys promised, absolutely 100% cure rate. All, that's they come in. Every single person who has tried this has been cured. Every single one, and we looked at it. And Julian was a sophisticated guy. He's an electrical engineer. He's a smart man. Isn't that tragic? I mean, it just it blows your mind. And he is he was just startled. He said, "Well, none of this stuff can be true. This homeopathic stuff is bullshit." He had enough chemistry and physics. He knew what was going on. And the stuff that they talk about, we take mulberry extract, okay, and we put a gram of mulberry extract in a 50-gallon tank of this stuff, and then you take just a drop and put it on your tongue, and that will cure your cancer.
Yeah,
there are people who are buying this stuff, hammer and tongue.
And they stop taking their meds.
Oh yeah, they'll go off chemo because they found something better. It has 100% cure rate.
It's fucking disgusting how predatory these people are.
Yeah, agreed.
It makes me very, very angry.
Yeah.
That they prey on sick and dying people.
Oh, they do. They go after the families too. That they're just beneath contempt. And you see Jeff Holiday getting so pissed off at like the Jilly Juice stuff, these cures that don't work and anti-vaxxers and so forth. Yeah, I'm with him on this. I absolutely, these people are despicable. I don't want to shut their free speech down, but this comes close to yelling fire in a crowded auditorium when you're out there irresponsibly advertising that you can do something that it's easily provable you cannot possibly do.
Yeah.
And they always say, well, how did these people get well? Well, about 15% of people with, apparent terminal cancer go into remission for a period of time. It happens.
Yes.
Okay. Happens enough where you're taking advantage of that. Boy, I'll tell you, I'm not even rational about those people. I want to kill them. It's just so evil what they do to families.
It's sociopathic. They don't care.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is. It's absolute a horrifying disregard for other people's welfare. But anyway, be that as it may. Oh, I was looking at something Gunfox put up. Breaking news. House GOP cancels news conference as potential for Trump veto increases shutdown fears. So evidently, Trump's vow to shut down the government, that it being a good thing, is real. I don't know. We'll see. Shutting down the government wouldn't be the worst thing that could happen. As a libertarian, I sort of approve of that. I just want it to stay shut down.
Well, and it's not like the government actually shuts down. Like the fucking low-level branches of the government, like government offices and shit, they don't stop working.
Right.
Like that's what drives me crazy when the news goes, government shutdown, it's the end of the world.
Right. Exactly.
No, it's just the fucking high-level branch, like the high-level tiers of the government that are shutting down.
Exactly.
Fucking DMV is still open. The county clerk's office is still open.
The Social Security checks still go out.
Yeah, like stop freaking out.
They say, well, it's all the non-necessary government jobs shut down. But if you're a necessary government job, you go to work and do your job as usual.
Yeah.
My point is, why don't we shut down the unnecessary government jobs permanently? I'm just saying. Anyway, a couple things from chat here. Yeah, going back to this. Let's see. Alfred Keith says, my granny basically died of starvation. She was that weak. She couldn't swallow. Yes, I know all about that. Seen it up close and personal. It's something that it changes you to see that, and you've seen it too. Dread Darkwater 77 says Jeff Holiday does a great series about this stuff. Yes, I've watched that. That's actually what I was referring to. And all the Jilly Juice stuff, the Annie Baxter stuff, all the Hemlock Moonwolf, the fictional character, which is actually pretty funny. That he comes up with is a pretty entertaining way to present something that is desperately serious. Alfred Keith says homeopathic medicine is bullshit. Agreed. I think that is definitional. Yet the placebo effect has been proven to work. Well, yes, placebo will always work a certain amount of the time. It doesn't matter whether or not the placebo you're taking is a sugar pill or a homeopathic cure. For whatever reason, sometimes we cure ourselves. It's not well understood. Let's see. The only thing that is people depend on that money won't get it because of the government shutdown. It depends. There are certain parts of the government financial transactions that will be shut down. You are right, Chadwick. But the ones like military and the things that keep us safe will still be paid. Dread Darkwater said exactly what I said. Seems to me if they're non-essential, let's shut them down permanently. I agree.
I'm just going to run real quick to the washroom, and I'll be right back. You keep talking to chat.
I'm just going to be, talking with chat and talk about a couple things here.
All right, cool.
Let's see. Alfred Keith says, I'm in Northern Ireland. Our government shut down in 2017 and still is shut down, and most of us haven't noticed. Yes, I can well imagine. That's a desirable situation as far as I'm concerned. Let's see. I say end Section 8 housing payments, welfare, and all government handouts, not counting Medicare. The problem is do you want to see widows and orphans starving in the streets, dying in the streets? Private charity is not adequate to take care of the people who can't take care of themselves. We have grown a population of people who are dependent on these things, and they really can't manage for themselves. So, if you you're basically talking about having a lot of people starving if you cut that off. You have to be okay with that. I mean, everybody's different. Your mileage may vary, but I would say that that's a difficult thing to go. I'm going to have to do something just real quickly here. Hang on one sec. All right, there we go. I had to yell something at the dog to make sure that it went the right way. Okay, let's see. What was I going to go back to? So, what is Trump's actual objective in shutting down the government, in pulling out of Syria, and so forth? I don't really know, because I don't think Trump really plans that far ahead. He's like like a guy playing in a chess game who just wants to be a few moves ahead and control the board. And he's rather canny, very shrewd, cunning as a tactician in politics and negotiation. But as far as how he is strategically, I've not seen evidence that he has a grand strategy for his presidency or for the country.
I don't think he does either.
He's not the guy who is going to say, okay, we've got to do this for this sector of the economy. We've got to do this for this part of foreign policy. And to do that, we're going to need these laws, and we're going to need to follow this policy and so forth. He doesn't chart things out like that. He kind of looks at, what am I faced with, and how do I get ahead of this? And unfortunately, it makes him a bit reactive. Obama was that way too. Interestingly enough, it's something that they have in common. They're both reactive guys. The thing about it was when Obama's reaction was, I surrender, I apologize. Mm-hmm. The United States is bad. He had. It's not that he had no arrows in his quiver. It's like he put the bow and arrow down.
Yeah.
He just said, I'm going to go completely passive and ask the world for forgiveness for being us, because I hate me, I hate us. You were married to Michelle, you might hate yourself too.
I'm sorry that. It was one of those self-flagellating, I'm sorry for the war in Iraq, so I'm going to, even though I had nothing to do with it, so right. I'm just going to kowtow to
whatever tyrant is out there in the Middle East that, it feels good to bowing to the Saudis. Come on. Tin pot dictators, and who we wouldn't even give the time of day if they weren't sitting on a bunch of natural resources that they did nothing to earn.
And if they were smart, if the U.S. was smart, they would abandon the tin pot dictator sitting on the oil, and they would try and get better relations, better trade relations with, somebody like us.
Well, yeah, that'd make a lot of sense, actually. But, not going to happen. Yeah, the other
thing. We have a lot of Trudeau had a lot of bargaining chips with the USMCA, and he just rolled over.
Well, sure, absolutely. Trudeau was as bad a leader as Obama. In his way, he's Canada's Obama.
He is.
He's sick and sad and wrong about nearly everything. You know what? I am going to have to tend to the puppy for 1 second.
No worries.
I'll be right back. Sing and dance for just a minute. I won't be gone even for like 30 seconds. Hang on 1 second. Just got to get the puppy untangled here. What's wrong, sweetie? Come here.
Let's see.
Come here. Come here.
I think Trump genuinely cares about the country and is trying to do his best for the U.S. Yeah, I think you're right, Dread. Well, like people like me and Thoughts from the Dryer Gun Fox, we kind of need disability checks, because like especially like for somebody like me who's blind, we would love to work, but the stigma and scariness that and fear that other people have of blindness and disability, like less so for people in like wheelchairs or whatever, but blindness, for some reason no one wants to hire you unless there's like some sort of tax grab that they can take advantage of, or if they are an organization that is specifically linked with a blind organization and they are giving you basically, I feel that they're giving you a job because you're blind and they feel bad for you. So there are some people that do require like a handout from the government, and it's not because we've just fucked up our lives with our bad choices.
Well, having taking care of people who, are either not given the opportunity to take care of themselves or just cannot take care of themselves is not a bad thing. I think that's a sign of an enlightened and decent society. It's the better angels of our nature to do that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the multi-generational welfare types where, they have never had a job. They have never had any intention of a job. They're fully capable and, but they just want to live the easy life and don't really care about getting ahead. And it's not that they can't, they could, they just won't.
I had,
that's irritating.
My very best friend broke that cycle that her family was in that cycle.
But that said, I still think that if they choose that, they should be able to get the money. And here's why. They're not going to make a different choice. And if it's if what we're talking about is the difference between them starving by the side of the road, or turning to crime, and giving them a bit of food and a warm place to sleep, I say give them a bit of food and a warm place to sleep. You don't have to make it expensive.
Mm-hmm.
We don't overspend on our prison food. Institutional food science is more than capable of supporting the people who are chronically unemployed, who chronically cannot earn for themselves. And I think we're at a point in the development of our society where we don't need to have the indigent starving by the side of the road. I just don't believe in giving them more than that. I don't believe in giving them cell phones, for example.
Yeah. They don't need cell phone, like that SmartLink program that you guys have.
Yeah.
Or the SafeLink or whatever it's called in the States. I've seen commercials for it on the Eastern. I don't know if you guys have it out in Texas, but I've seen commercials for like on New York TV stations for SafeLink, where you get a certain amount of minutes and a certain amount of data and like unlimited texting or something if you're on welfare or some sort of assistance.
Right. The Obama phone.
Yeah, something like that. Or like I know people up here who are on disability and they fucking shouldn't be. They're on disability because they're quote unquote angry. They're too angry to work.
Right.
And these people, they live 3 or 4 to an apartment and they all collect a disability check.
Yeah.
And they spend it on freaking video games and crap. And then they go to the food bank because they've blown all their money on video games and shit.
Yeah, and drugs.
And it's like, and drug and weed.
Yep.
And like one I'm not friends with them anymore because I just can't stand being around people who won't grow up. But he got mad at his girlfriend, smashed his Xbox, and when his disability check came in the end of the month, he went and bought another one.
Yeah, that's a guy who's unclear on the concepts, you know.
And I was so angry with. I'm like, it's people like you that make it hard for me and Pincalo to get disability checks, and because we try and be as honest as possible.
Sure.
And we always get fucked for it.
Right. And that's, you're suffering because other people are taking advantage of a system that's deeply imperfect, and that's a shame. I'm sorry that happens. And
yeah, and Pincalo says I'm all over the age of 35.
Yep. So there you go. All over the age of 35. God, that's depressing, isn't it?
And that dumb fuck is 37 now, he says. Yeah.
So Pincalo knows him too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Pincalo's really pissed off at him.
Yeah. Really enjoyed having Pincalo on the show last night. I mean, I would love having the two of you on the show at the same time.
It would be fun.
I mean, we may have to wait for the kids to grow up, and maybe after old Skep's in the ground. But it still would be it would be fun to do. And I really enjoyed his presence on the show last night. Let's see, Chadwick Dupree. I have friends exactly like that. They are all They all have food stamp cards, and my wife and I have to struggle month to month to make sure we have food because we make too much money every month. Yeah, I understand. Been there, done that. I still, after all my years of working, having, married foolishly, at least I got two beautiful children out of it. So I don't have a lot of money left. My ex-wife has my money, but I have two great kids, and I have enough money to get by, but I still have to be careful. I still have to, watch what I spend money on. And, it's, the world does not reward people equally, regardless of the effort or the quality of life you've lived or anything like that. I have a lot of people who are, my two best friends from high school ended up being Intel's first chief scientist and the assistant undersecretary of the Navy. I mean, I've known some pretty high flying, very high powered people. Was sort of that way at one point in my career, decorating the front page of Computer World 3 times. But since then, people tend to think, well, because, Skep doesn't have a lot of money, he's not as smart as he used to be back when he was making money. And that isn't true. I haven't changed at all. There's nothing wrong with my mind. And I have to remind some of my friends about that. Not the ones I mentioned, by the way.
Money does not equal intelligence.
No, it does not equal intelligence. It does not in any way, shape, or form. And here's another thing, and this is the truth. This is absolutely the truth, because I've had money and now I don't have it again. I was poor and then rich and then poor, more or less. Not real rich, not real poor.
Yeah.
And money does not buy happiness. Money doesn't even make happiness easy, or you can't rent it. And in point of fact, money is kind of, you have to really be careful with it, take care of it. It requires a lot of energy and discipline to not do the wrong thing with it. And if you trust people, sometimes they'll just be in it to try and get at your money. They'll be duplicitous about it. So that will happen from time to time. But as long as you don't base your happiness on money, you base it on the people you know and the relationships you have. You know me, Blind, and Chad probably knows me well enough. It's my friendships that mean everything to me.
Oh, for sure.
The people who I love and people who love me back, that make my life worth living. That's the key to my happiness. Those are the things that make me happy. having, my two blood children, two wonderful blood children, having 3 stepchildren and 4 grandkids, plus all the other folks involved, at least that branch of my family that I'm close to. That's a wonderful thing. Makes me happy. And it's not money. It never was about money. And I was lucky to have realized that early on, because when you lose the money, that makes some people very, very bitter. They never get over that either. And with me, it was just like, I still got my friends.
Exactly.
So it's like I'm still rich.
Like I'll go up to see my friend in Kingston, and we'll, I'll have a little bit of money saved up, right, to spend when I go there. But it's not about what we went and spent money on. It's the fact that we got to see each other for a few days and hang out and, reminisce.
Even if you did nothing, you'd have a good time together.
Exactly. Some of our best memories growing up were like we just would have sleepovers and just do stuff together. Like we didn't go out or anything like that. We just hung out, laughed, talked.
Yeah. Big Owl says it's hard to be bitter about losing money when you never had any money to begin with. I agree. No doubt about that. I started out life the son of an Air Force officer, a young officer. We ate a lot of Spam when I was a kid, and bologna sandwiches, and our stretched spaghetti that Mom did her best with to make it fit the budget. We never went without, never went hungry. Sometimes the food wasn't that interesting, but we never went hungry.
Yeah.
And they then gaining prominence as a internet systems and network solutions person, and the big salary for years, and that was interesting. It was weird to have money like that and to not have to worry about money for a change. I liked it, but I can see how you can become addicted to that, where if you didn't have that, people become suicidal. I noticed that Charlie Sheen was panicking publicly about being down to his last $10 million. And, people were saying, well, $10 million, you're fat city, you got it not. And he's like, no, you got to understand the lifestyle I need costs a lot of money. I need a lot more money than that. Nobody's hiring me. I don't understand what's wrong.
Well, you've gone off your rocker and nobody wants to freaking hire you because you're screaming about drinking tiger blood and winning. Nobody wants to hire you when you're screaming winning all the time.
Yeah, especially when you're losing. So, you see people losing their money and being very bitter about it, and it's sad. Boy, have we really gone almost 90 minutes?
Yeah.
How about that? Let's see. Darkwater says there's a nuance in all things. Not everyone can work. There are many who could, but choose not to. Assistance programs are needed, but then they're too often abused. Yeah, everything you said is true.
Yep.
Everything you said is true, and it's just there's not an easy solution to it. I just don't want women and children, especially. But Brian, I don't want anybody starving in the street. I don't want anybody to die from hunger because they don't have enough to eat. That doesn't ever have to happen anymore. Actually, it doesn't have to happen anywhere in the world. If we could find a way to distribute what we have efficiently, and in Africa, for example, we could stop famine in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
But and India too. Problem is that people intercept anything of value before it gets to the people who need it. Anyway, be that as it may, I didn't know how long you wanted to go today. Are we at the point where we should close it out?
Yeah, I gotta go get ready. I think I've got an orientation lesson today.
All right. For the dog?
Not for the dog, but just to because I have them every week, and right now we're working on the route to the local grocery store.
Oh, very good. Cool.
Yeah.
Literally an orientation.
Yes.
Very good. All right. Well, I want to thank you for having me again as your co-host. This is fun. Appreciate being a part of this, and always good to be with chat. Well, I love our chat.
I do too. They're great people,
and I love the interaction that we have with them, and the back and forth, the very real participation that they have in the stream. It's, as I said before, as I say it every stream, it's unique. I see no other chat that participates as thoroughly as they do, and part of that is just our orientation, which is to go back and read what chat is thinking. We read chat. We read.
Yep.
People are always saying, "Monkey, read chat." I read every single line that's written, and when my dog's not shitting on the floor. Anyway, and we appreciate you guys showing up and spending the time with us. It's always a pleasure. Blind, it's always a pleasure to be with you. You want to take us out?
Sure. Thank you guys for coming out and interacting with us. We really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a really good day. If I get my orientation done and my chores done, I may be doing a quick, maybe 45-minute stream over on the Blind and the Special before I pick up Alex from school. So stay tuned for that. And we will see everyone back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central for another coffee stream. And I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I hope you'll enjoy tomorrow's. Have an amazing day, everyone, and stay safe out there.
Be careful out there.